When they tried to separate the homeless man and his dog, with the dog dead shocked everyone. The rain poured down on the cold city streets as concerned citizens gathered around a homeless man lying motionless on the sidewalk. But it wasn't the man that caught everyone's attention. It was his dog. The loyal animal stood guard over his owner's body, refusing to let anyone come near. Little did they know what was about to happen would change everything they thought they knew about loyalty and love. A bond forged in hardship. Michael Thompson had been living on the streets of downtown Chicago for nearly 3 years. Life hadn't always been this way. Once a successful carpenter with a loving family, a series of unfortunate events, an workplace accident, mounting medical bills, and eventually losing his home had led him to this desperate situation. Through it all, there was one constant companion who never left his side, a scruffy mixed-breed dog named Buddy. Michael found Buddy on a particularly cold winter night 2 years ago. The puppy was abandoned in an alley, shivering and alone, much like Michael himself. From that moment, an unbreakable bond formed between man and dog. They became each other's family, each other's reason to keep going when times got impossibly hard. Every morning, Michael would share whatever food he could find with Buddy. On the coldest nights, they'd huddle together under a worn blanket, sharing body heat to survive. Buddy wasn't just a pet, he was Michael's protector, his friend, and his lifeline to humanity in a world that had largely forgotten him. The day everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning in late autumn when everything changed. Michael hadn't been feeling well for several days. A persistent cough had developed into something more serious, but without access to health care, he had simply tried to push through it. That morning, as Michael and his dog settled into their usual spot near a busy intersection, Michael's condition suddenly worsened. Passers-by noticed the homeless man slumped against the brick wall, barely conscious. His breathing was shallow and labored. Several people pulled out their phones to call for help, but when anyone tried to approach Michael to check on him, Buddy sprang into action. The normally gentle dog positioned himself between his owner and the concerned strangers, his hackles raised, a low growl rumbling from his chest, not out of aggression but out of fierce protection. Buddy had seen too many times how people treated those who lived on the streets. He had witnessed his owner being kicked, spat at, and chased away from public spaces. In his canine mind, these approaching strangers could mean danger for the person he loved most in the world. The standoff. Within minutes, paramedics arrived on the scene, along with animal control officers. The situation had become increasingly tense. Michael was clearly in medical distress and needed immediate attention, but Buddy wouldn't allow anyone within 5 feet of his owner. The dog's loyalty, while admirable, was preventing potentially life-saving intervention. "We need to sedate the animal," one of the animal control officers suggested, reaching for a tranquilizer dart. The crowd that had gathered gasped in concern. Even though they understood the urgency of the situation, something about forcibly separating this devoted dog from his owner felt fundamentally wrong. Are you moved by this incredible story of loyalty? Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that love knows no boundaries. The most powerful part is still to come. Sarah Martinez, a veteran paramedic with 15 years of experience, had seen many difficult situations in her career. But something about this scene struck her differently. She observed the dog carefully, the way he positioned himself, the way he kept glancing back at Michael, the trembling in his legs that betrayed his fear despite his brave stance. "Wait," she said, holding up her hand to stop the animal control officer. "Let me try something first." Sarah slowly crouched down about 10 feet from Buddy, making herself less threatening. She didn't make direct eye contact, which she knew could be perceived as aggressive in the animal kingdom. Instead, she spoke in a soft, calm voice. "Hey there, Buddy. I know you're scared. I know you love him. We love him too, and we want to help him. We need to help him, or he's going to get much sicker." A moment of understanding. What happened next would be talked about by everyone present for years to come. Buddy stopped growling. His ears, which had been pinned back in defensive mode, slowly began to relax. He looked at Sarah, then back at Michael, then at Sarah again. It was as if he understood, as if some part of his being recognized that these people were different from those who had shown cruelty before. Sarah continued talking softly, explaining what they needed to do. She held out her hand, palm down, allowing Buddy to catch her scent. Slowly, almost miraculously, the dog's tail began to wag, just slightly, uncertain but hopeful. "Can you let us help him?" she asked gently. "I promise we'll take good care of him, and we won't separate you two. I give you my word." Buddy took a tentative step toward Sarah, then another. Finally, he gently licked her outstretched hand. The crowd released a collective breath they hadn't realized they'd been holding. The dog walked back to Michael and nudged his owner's face with his nose, whimpering softly. Then, in a gesture that brought tears to many eyes, Buddy lay down beside Michael and placed his head on his owner's chest, as if giving permission for the paramedics to approach. The paramedics quickly moved in, assessing Michael's condition while Buddy watched anxiously but calmly from beside his owner. Michael was suffering from severe pneumonia and was dangerously dehydrated. His fever was critically high. Without immediate medical intervention, he likely wouldn't have survived another day on the streets. As they prepared to load Michael onto a stretcher, a new problem arose. Hospital policy strictly prohibited animals, even service animals, in certain areas. The animal control officers stepped forward, explaining they would need to take Buddy to a shelter while Michael received treatment. The moment Buddy heard the word shelter and sensed the officers approaching with a catchpole, his demeanor changed again. He jumped up, positioning himself back into protective mode, though this time his response was different. Instead of growling or appearing aggressive, Buddy simply lay across Michael's body, spreading himself over his owner like a living blanket. His eyes pleaded with everyone around him, and a soft whine escaped his throat. The message was clear: please don't take me away from him. A community rallied. What the dog did next shocked everyone even more. When the animal control officers tried to gently coax him away, Buddy began to perform tricks. He sat, he rolled over, he offered his paw, every trick Michael had taught him during their time together. It was his way of showing that he was a good dog, that he deserved to stay with his owner. Tears flowed freely from many onlookers. An elderly woman in the crowd, Mrs. Eleanor Bishop, stepped forward. "I'll vouch for the dog," she said firmly. "I see this man and his dog every day on my way to work. That animal is better behaved than most people I know. If the hospital won't let him in, then I'll take him home and care for him until his owner recovers. But please don't send him to a shelter. That would break their both's hearts." Others in the crowd immediately echoed her sentiment. A young man offered to pay for any supplies Buddy might need. A woman who identified herself as a veterinarian offered free medical care for the dog. Another person pledged to help with a GoFundMe campaign to help Michael get back on his feet once he recovered. Sarah, the paramedic, was moved by the outpouring of compassion. She pulled out her phone and made a quick call to the hospital administrator, explaining the unusual situation. This dog quite literally saved his owner's life by alerting people and refusing to leave his side. The least we can do is honor that loyalty. After several tense minutes of discussion, a decision was made. The hospital would allow Buddy to stay in a designated area near Michael's room, with Mrs. Elebish taking responsibility for the dog's care during Michael's treatment. It was an unprecedented exception to policy, but the hospital administrator, herself a dog owner, understood that the emotional well-being of patients was intrinsically linked to their physical recovery.
This story has touched thousands of hearts already. Don't keep it to yourself. Click share and spread this message of hope and unconditional love. Your friends need to see this. As the ambulance pulled away with Michael inside, Buddy rode in Mrs. Bishop's car, following closely behind. Throughout the 20-minute journey, the dog never took his eyes off the ambulance ahead, as if maintaining a visual connection with his beloved owner. At the hospital, true to their word, staff set up a comfortable space for Buddy in a covered outdoor area adjacent to the ICU wing. Mrs. Bishop brought blankets, food, water, and toys, but Buddy barely touched any of it. He simply sat facing the door that led inside, waiting with the patience that only a devoted dog possesses. The long wait. Michael remained in critical condition for 3 days. During this time, Buddy maintained his vigil. Mrs. Bishop visited several times each day, bringing fresh food and water, taking Buddy for short walks, and keeping him company. Hospital staff who came outside for breaks found themselves drawn to the loyal dog, often sitting with him and telling him about his owner's progress. "Your dad is fighting hard," one nurse told Buddy on the 2nd day, scratching behind his ears. "He's strong, just like you. He'll pull through." The story of the homeless man and his devoted dog spread quickly through social media. The local news picked it up, and soon the story had gone viral. Donations poured in, not just money, but offers of housing, job opportunities for Michael once he recovered, and even a local pet store offering free supplies for Buddy for life. A child's hand-drawn picture arrived at the hospital, showing a stick figure man and a happy dog with hearts around them. The caption read, "Get better soon. Your dog loves you so much." The nursing staff made copies and posted them around the ICU wing, reminding everyone of the power of the human-animal bond. The reunion. On the 4th day, Michael finally regained consciousness. His first word was Buddy. The medical team had anticipated this and had already discussed how to handle the reunion. Dr. Patricia Chen, Michael's attending physician, personally went to the outdoor area where Buddy waited. "Come on, boy," she said gently. "Someone wants to see you." Buddy's ears perked up immediately. He stood, his tail wagging tentatively, as if afraid to hope. Dr. Chen led him through the hospital corridors, staff members pausing in their duties to watch the emotional journey. When they reached Michael's room, Buddy stopped at the doorway, suddenly hesitant. Michael, propped up in his hospital bed with oxygen tubes still attached, saw his faithful companion and began to cry. "Buddy," he called out weakly, "come here, boy." That was all the encouragement Buddy needed. He bounded across the room, gently as if understanding Michael's fragile state, and placed his front paws carefully on the edge of the bed. Michael wrapped his arms around his dog's neck, and Buddy licked away his owner's tears. There wasn't a dry eye in the room among the medical staff present. "I thought you had lost you," Michael whispered into Buddy's fur. "I thought you'd be taken away." "Never," said Mrs. Bishop, who had arrived for her usual visit just in time to witness the reunion. "This community has come together to make sure you two stay together. We've raised enough money to get you into transitional housing, and several local businesses want to interview you for positions once you're well enough." A new beginning. Michael's recovery took several weeks, but throughout it all, Buddy was never far away. The hospital bent its rules to allow daily visits, understanding that the dog's presence was contributing significantly to Michael's healing, both physical and emotional. During Michael's stay, he had time to reflect on how he'd ended up on the streets, and more importantly, how to ensure he never returned there. Social workers connected him with mental health resources, job training programs, and addiction support services. The community's generosity had given him not just financial support, but hope for a genuine second chance. Before you continue reading, take a moment to share this story with your social networks. Messages of loyalty and community support like this one are what the world needs more of right now. Your share could inspire someone else to reach out and help those in need. The GoFundMe campaign exceeded all expectations, raising over $50,000. The organizers worked with financial advisors to ensure the money would be used wisely. Security deposits for housing, work clothes, and tools for Michael to return to carpentry, a reliable vehicle, and a savings cushion to prevent future homelessness. A portion was even set aside for Buddy's lifetime veterinary care. The day Michael was discharged from the hospital was a celebration. Hospital staff lined the hallways, applauding as he walked out with Buddy by his side. Local news crews were present to document the happy ending to a story that had captured the region's heart. Mrs. Bishop had become like a grandmother to Michael, and she stood waiting with the keys to his new apartment, a small but clean one-bedroom in a pet-friendly building. The community had furnished it with donations, and a welcome basket sat on the kitchen counter filled with groceries and household essentials. Lessons in loyalty. In the weeks and months that followed, Michael slowly rebuilt his life. He started working for a local construction company that had followed his story and offered him a position. His carpentry skills, though rusty from years of disuse, quickly returned. He attended therapy sessions to process his trauma and develop coping strategies for stress and hardship. But through all the changes and improvements in his circumstances, one thing remained constant: Buddy. The dog who had protected him at his lowest, who had refused to abandon him even when it would have been easier, remained his closest companion and fiercest advocate. Michael began volunteering at homeless shelters on weekends, often bringing Buddy along. He understood the stigma and invisibility that came with homelessness, and he wanted to give back to the community that saved him. He shared his story openly, hoping to inspire compassion in others and to remind people that those living on the streets are human beings deserving of dignity and respect. "Buddy taught me something important," Michael often said when speaking to groups about his experience. "He never saw me as homeless. He never saw me as less than. He just saw me as his person, worthy of love and protection. If a dog can see past circumstances to the person inside, surely we as humans can do the same for each other." The ripple effect. Michael and Buddy's story had a profound impact on their city and beyond. The hospital revised its policies regarding emotional support animals, recognizing the crucial role pets play in patient recovery. Local shelters saw an increase in fostering and adoption as people were reminded of the incredible bond between humans and animals. Most significantly, the community's response to Michael's situation sparked a broader conversation about homelessness. Several local businesses created job programs specifically for unhoused individuals. The city increased funding for mental health services and addiction treatment. A new initiative was launched to provide emergency shelter spaces that allowed people to keep their pets, recognizing that many unhoused individuals refuse shelter because they won't abandon their animal companions. Mrs. Bishop became an advocate for homeless services, using her experience with Michael and Buddy to illustrate the transformative power of community support. She established a foundation that provided grants to organizations working to tend homelessness, with a special focus on programs that kept families, human and animal, together.
The young paramedic, Sarah Martinez, who had first recognized Buddy's protective love and advocated for a compassionate approach, became a trainer for other first responders on how to handle situations involving unhoused individuals and their pets. Her protocol for de-escalation in situations involving protective animals was adopted by emergency services departments across the state 1 year later. Exactly 1 year after that rainy morning when Michael collapsed on the sidewalk, he stood at a podium in front of hundreds of people. The occasion was a fundraising gala for homeless services, and Michael had been asked to speak about his journey. Buddy sat calmly at his feet, wearing a bow tie for the special occasion. "A year ago, I was dying on a city street," Michael began, his voice steady and clear. "The world had moved past me, around me, without seeing me. But one creature saw me, valued me, and loved me unconditionally. My dog Buddy refused to let me die alone and forgotten. His loyalty saved my life in more ways than one." He paused, looking down at Buddy, who gazed back up at him with devotion unchanged by their improved circumstances. But Buddy's loyalty also revealed something beautiful about humanity. When people saw how fiercely he loved me, it reminded them that I was worth loving too, that I was worth saving, that I mattered.
Michael went on to describe how the community's compassion had given him a second chance, but also how that compassion needed to extend to all people experiencing homelessness, not just those with viral stories. For every Michael and Buddy whose story gets shared online, there are thousands more sleeping on streets tonight, just as worthy of help and dignity, he said. Let's make sure we don't need a viral moment to move us to action. The audience gave him a standing ovation. That night, the gala raised over $200,000 for homeless services in the city. Several major employers committed to creating job programs for unhoused individuals. The local government pledged to increase funding for affordable housing initiatives. The power of unconditional love. Michael's story, at its heart, was about more than homelessness or even the remarkable loyalty of a dog. It was about the transformative power of unconditional love and how that love can ripple outward to change entire communities. Buddy never judged Michael for losing his home, for his mistakes, or for his circumstances. The dog simply loved him, protected him, and refused to give up on him. That pure, uncomplicated devotion became a mirror reflecting back Michael's inherent worth, not just to Michael himself, but to everyone who witnessed their bond. In a world that often feels cold and disconnected, where people experiencing homelessness become invisible parts of the urban landscape, Buddy's refusal to let his owner be overlooked became a powerful reminder of our shared humanity. The dog's actions asked a simple but profound question. If an animal can love this unconditionally, can't we as humans do the same? This story is almost over, but its message doesn't have to end here. Share this article right now with everyone you know. Challenge them to see the homeless individuals in their own communities with new eyes. One act of kindness could be someone's turning point, just like it was for Michael. The answer, as demonstrated by Mrs. Bishop, Sarah Martinez, and countless others who contributed to Michael's recovery and new start, was yes. Humans are capable of tremendous compassion and generosity when we allow ourselves to truly see each other today and tomorrow. Today, Michael has been stably housed for over a year. He's been promoted to a supervisor position at the construction company and is saving money to eventually start his own carpentry business. He's reconnected with his daughter, from whom he'd been estranged during his years on the street, and she's getting to know Buddy, who has become a beloved family member. Buddy, now a bit grayer around the muzzle and a bit rounder around the middle thanks to regular meals, remains Michael's constant companion. They still take long walks together every evening, though now they return to a warm apartment instead of searching for a safe place to sleep for the night. Michael often walks through the neighborhood where he used to live on the streets. He stops to talk with people who are currently unhoused, offering sandwiches, warm socks, and most importantly, recognition of their humanity. Buddy has proven to be an excellent ambassador, his friendly demeanor helping to break down barriers and start conversations. "I never forgot what it felt like to be invisible," Michael says, "and I never forget that I'm only on this side of the equation because people chose to help. So now I choose to help others. It's that simple." The local shelter where Michael volunteers has reported that several of the people he's reached out to have accepted services and are now in transitional housing themselves. His peer support, combined with his first-hand understanding of the obstacles and trauma associated with homelessness, makes him uniquely effective at encouraging others to seek help. The legacy of loyalty. When they tried to separate the homeless man and his dog, what the dog did shocked everyone, but perhaps it shouldn't have. Dogs have been humanity's companions for thousands of years, chosen by evolution and breeding for their remarkable capacity for loyalty, empathy, and love. Buddy simply did what dogs have always done, loved his person completely, without condition or reservation. What truly shocked people, perhaps, was the realization of how easily we can overlook that kind of love and loyalty when it exists between a homeless person and their pet. How quickly society is willing to separate vulnerable people from their animal companions, not recognizing that these relationships are often the most important, sometimes the only meaningful connections in these individuals' lives. Buddy's story changed that perspective for many people.
It highlighted the need for homeless services that accommodate pets, for policies that keep families, in whatever form they take, together, and for a more compassionate approach to homelessness overall. The questions Buddy's loyalty raised continue to resonate. What would our communities look like if we valued each person with the same fierce devotion that dog showed to his owner? What if we refused to let anyone be invisible, overlooked, or forgotten? What if we treated the homeless individuals in our cities with the same urgency and compassion that we showed Michael once we saw how much Buddy loved him? These aren't just philosophical questions, they're calls to action that dozens of community members answered in Michael's case, and that thousands more have answered for other unhoused individuals in the years since his story spread. Final thoughts. Every day, millions of people walk past homeless individuals without making eye contact, without acknowledging their existence. It's easy to become numb to the sight of someone sleeping in a doorway or asking for help on a street corner. We tell ourselves stories to justify our inaction. They're dangerous, they'll just spend money on drugs, they're in that situation by choice. Helping one person won't solve the bigger problem. But Michael's story reminds us that behind every person experiencing homelessness is a human being with inherent dignity and worth, someone who loves and is loved, someone who has skills and dreams and the potential for a better future, someone who deserves to be seen. Buddy saw Michael when no one else did, and when others finally stopped to look, they saw what Buddy had seen all along: a man worth saving, a life worth preserving, a person deserving of a second chance. This is your call to action. Don't just be moved by this story, be moved to action. Share this article one more time, then do something concrete in your own community. Volunteer at a homeless shelter, donate to organizations that serve unhoused individuals, advocate for policies that provide housing, healthcare, and dignity for all, support programs that allow people to keep their pets, or simply stop and acknowledge the humanity of the next homeless person you encounter. Small acts of recognition and kindness can plant the seeds of transformation. Michael and Buddy's story started with a dog's refusal to abandon his owner. Let it continue with your refusal to abandon your fellow human beings. The story of Michael and Buddy is a reminder that love, whether from a loyal dog or a compassionate community, has the power to save lives and restore hope. It challenges us to look beyond circumstances and see the person, to respond with compassion rather than judgment, and to recognize that we are all connected in our shared humanity. In the end, Buddy didn't just shock people by protecting his owner, he shocked them by reflecting back the best parts of humanity they had forgotten were there: loyalty, compassion, and the refusal to let go of those we love. The real question is whether we'll learn the lesson this remarkable dog has taught us, and whether we'll extend that same fierce protective love to all members of our community, housed and unhoused alike. The answer lies not in going viral or making headlines, but in the small daily choices we make to see each other, to help each other, and to refuse to let anyone be forgotten or left behind. That's the legacy of one homeless man and his devoted dog, a legacy that continues to grow every time someone chooses compassion over indifference, action over apathy, and love over fear. Michael and Buddy's story is a reminder that love, whether from a loyal dog or a compassionate community, has the power to save lives and restore hope. It challenges us to look beyond circumstances and see the person, to respond with compassion rather than judgment, and to recognize that we are all connected in our shared humanity. In the end, Buddy didn't just shock people by protecting his owner, he shocked them by reflecting back the best parts of humanity they had forgotten were there: loyalty, compassion, and the refusal to let go of those we love. The real question is whether we'll learn the lesson this remarkable dog has taught us, and whether we'll extend that same fierce protective love to all members of our community, housed and unhoused alike.